Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bookie The Beano, where we discuss the debits and credits of being an accountant or bookkeeper in the digital world we operate in today. I'm Kane Munro, owner of Active Outsourcing and Accountancy Online, and my partner in crime is Diane Lucas, superstar bookkeeper consultant and owner of Direct Management. This week is part 2 of our Accountants Business Expo extravaganza, where you'll hear from Alan Fitzgerald from Practice Connections, Ron Drost from iPractice Apps, Gary Sheffield, who is a cybersecurity expert from Cybercillin, as well as some attendees who came all the way from Colorado. But before we dive into this week's episode of Bookie The Beano, we'll be live at this year's QuickBooks Connect conference in Melbourne on the 30th and 31st of May. It really is a fantastic event, and it is almost sold out, but there's a small allocation of tickets left. So do yourself a favour and register at au.quickbooksconnect.com and use the code QBC19 KANE to get 40% off your ticket. Be there. It should be a fantastic conference. But now, on to today's episode.
So I'm here with Alan from Practice Connections. Alan, how are you finding the conference?
Oh, Kane, I love these type of conferences because it's the opportunity to catch up with, in my case, old friends, but it's also to catch up with new vendors, clients. It's just wonderful.
This is right in your hitting zone. So what's your background?
My background, for my sins, I'll be 20 years in tax and accounting software in May of this year.
Congratulations or commiserations.
Oh, look, it's been a profession and slash industry that has been wonderful for me over those years. So I love doing what I do, and what I do is I basically 3.5 years ago I set up my own little advisory practice because my old clients were coming to me saying, "Hey, look, we know you're no longer in the industry because I work for a lot of the major vendors. Can you give us a hand choosing some software? Or we're thinking about re-engineering what our practice does, or we want a 5-year tech strategy." And so I thought, yeah, okay, I can do that. And so, as I said, for the last 3.5 years, that's what I've been doing, from sole practitioners through to Big Four.
Well, it's a really important role, and the fact you do it from sole practitioners all the way through the Big Four, because they all have different needs as well.
100%. Like I've assisted 2 sole practitioners recently. There were partners that left firms to set up their own practices. But then the larger firms get in contact with me because for a lot of them, they just want maybe for a couple of days to understand what is that in the marketplace that they're not familiar. So a case of what we don't know, we don't know. And so just it's an educational piece from their side of things.
Okay, what have you seen at the conference today which is really interesting you in, I guess, cutting edge stuff or things which may help firms? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, one of the good ones, for example, because of the ATO are switching off, the release of paper through to the practitioners, you've got people like Ron Drost and his ATO Smart Doc, so the cloud solution that will automatically poll the individuals and or companies' tax portal, pull down the necessary documents, rename them so that there might be a notice of assessment. They'll do the checks and balances between the tax returns, etc., and it just automates the whole process. That's something that is coming. If you don't have that, you've got no alternatives.
And it's also secure as well, isn't it, compared to just trying to download it yourself, attaching it to an email?
Oh, well, you can't email stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Email is just a serious no-no. And there's already been some data breaches that have affected some firms. So I've quoted in a recent podcast that I did that the most ludicrous example I found was that the accounting firm was sending out a tax return with the client name, address, tax file number, everything redacted, and saying, "Sign this tax return." So the recipient was going, "But I don't even know if it's mine."
I did hear that on Tax Shack.
That was my Tax Shack.
Great podcast. Shout out to the Tax Shack guys.
Tax Shack are great. Yeah,
so you're 100% cloud-based in what you do as well. So you're not just advising clients on their account strategy and their strategy with regards to tools. You run your business entirely on the cloud as well.
Absolutely.
You do it by your phone.
Yep. Well, yeah, absolutely. My phone. The phone. There's a great book by a gentleman called Richard Susskind, and he talks about the mobile phone being the democratization of technology. So it's the ability to run an entire corporation almost, you could, if you wanted to, from your mobile phone. So it's taken the power of the shoebox, from the shoebox side of things, giving that power into the hands of, well, whether it's risky hands of the individual, but that's the reason why we go to accounting firms, is because accounting firms we know will fix up the errors.
Yeah. So what can you see coming down the pipe then technology-wise which you're excited about?
Oh, look, it's the confluence of all of the different technologies. I'm doing a couple of projects as we speak where they've discovered that whilst everything seems to be kind of working in the background, what they don't have, particularly in the multidisciplinary firms, is a quality and reliable client relationship management system.
Yeah, it seems to be a missing piece.
It's a big missing piece, because in this particular example of this particular firm, if the wealth management partner runs a report of his clients, he gets 0 clients.
Yep.
Because the tax partner has the relationship, listed the relationship. So they're going, well, this is just ridiculous. So they spend hours and days doing spreadsheets and eliminating the duplications and so forth for something that ostensibly should be just a press of a button.
Alan, as always, thank you very much for your insights. They're always important, and thank you for listening. Well, thank you for coming on.
No worries. Thanks, Kane.
I'll just edit that out of the end.
It's always a pleasure.
I'm here with Ron Drost from iPractice Apps. Ron, how are you doing?
Yeah, really good.
How's the conference been so far?
Fantastic. Yeah, we've had a busy couple of days. I'm exhausted.
Well, tell me a little bit more about iPractice.
Yeah, what we've done is brought together a number of tools to help accountants with the changes coming from the ATO.
Yeah.
So the ATO correspondence is disappearing. Everyone's turning on their MyGov account. So we built a tool called ATO Smart Docs that will get the documents from the ATO, process them, check them, save them into their document management system and deliver them through the app. We build an app for the accounting practice, and it's about 10 seconds a document to process and notice of assessment, check it and deliver it to the client.
Okay, so what's the process of the accounting firm then to, I guess, access the ATO data for their client base? Is it a difficult process to establish that?
Yeah, really easy. So they just log into the agent portal, select the documents for the last 24 hours, drag them into ATO Smart Docs, hit the go button, and the system takes care of it from there. So often the example I talk about is a firm doing 2,500 tax returns, they're getting 45 documents a day. Most firms are taking 90 minutes of admin time to process. We can do that in 6 minutes.
Wow. So literally just need somebody to log in, download those documents into the system, and everything else is effectively done.
Yeah, correct. Including renaming, checking the documents. If partners want to see them before they go out, the workflow's in there to do that. It's using artificial intelligence and machine learning we've got 91 document types in the library.
Yep.
We can add cloud-based, so we can add anything new the ATO throws at us. And it's using machine learning and artificial intelligence with a robotic process really to automate it.
Okay, so that's one part. There's other products in the suite as well, isn't there?
There is, yeah. So a lot of firms are starting to realise that their clients are on their mobile phones all the time.
Funny that.
Yeah, I know. We're one of the worst industries for mobile accountant engagement. So we build mobile phone apps, Android and Apple, for accounting firms.
Yep.
So the app is their app. Clients can search the App Store. Ron Drost and Associates, download the app. 120 different things they can do in the app. Digital signatures, delivery of ATO, book appointments, single-touch payroll surveys, pay bills. It's acknowledging that 90% of their clients have a smartphone. And by getting their app and their icon on their client's smartphone, marketing people go weak at the knees. Accountants don't, but they should, because clients can just tap on it and they can do all sorts of things.
Because the other aspect of that is the digital signature being on the phone as opposed to people sending things via email as well, because that's an important thing now with breaches of privacy and things like that, sending things via email not really being acceptable. So actually being able to do things on your phone is super important as an accountant.
Yeah, it makes it easier. And look, the other thing with email, forgetting the Privacy Act for a minute,
which is important.
Which most firms do, which they shouldn't, so they're starting to realise that. But when you send an email to a client, what do they do with the email? They have to either leave it there, print it, save it somewhere. What this is doing is putting it into the app. It's filed away. Anytime they want it, they can reach for their phone out of their pocket or their handbag. One tap and they're into the app. And the beauty is every time they access your app to get a document, they don't have to put a password in, because we're using the phone security to protect the app.
Yeah.
So when they first download the app, they have to create an account. And until they buy a new phone, they never have to put a password in to get into the app, which most portals, the barrier is remembering that password.
Well, that is the thing with most portals. The barrier is just the usage of it because it's difficult. That sounds really easy for an end user, a client of an accounting firm to use. It's not hard. It's always on and always available. So you're really empowering clients to be able to actually do what they need to do when you send them something.
Yeah, it certainly does. And it's designed to make life easier for the clients and the accountants. Often we don't always think through the impact for our clients.
Yep.
So organising all their documents, having 2-tap digital signatures in the app, just makes it easier for clients to get things done.
That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff you are kind of doing. Is there a set of steak knives? Is there anything else in your suite that you're doing, or are they the main things?
No, we do workflow as well.
Of course.
We do workflow, no, not for the...
But wait, there's more.
There is more. There's always more. We enjoy building things, you can probably tell that.
Absolutely.
So with the workflow, we notice most firms don't have a system for managing admin jobs. So we build a workflow system. You can use voice to text to add a job for admins. I might be meeting with a client. I whip my phone out. We've got a section in the app that's firewalled off for internal use only.
Wow.
Tap on the button, tap on the recorder. I might say, please change Ron's address to 88 Smith Street. I hit enter, hop in my car, drive back to the office, and that's already gone to the workflow system, to the admin team. They've completed the job, it's tracked. So we've put a lot of time and effort into this whole digital platform.
Yeah.
Especially around things like admin.
I was going to say I should have recorded this podcast on that particular facility, and that way I don't have to worry if I push record or not. Ron, thank you very much for your time.
No worries at all. Next slide.
Hello, I'm with Gary Sheffield here from Cybercillin, cybersecurity specialist. Gary, how are you doing?
Good morning. Good to see you.
Now, tell me a little bit more about what you do. What does Cybercillin do?
Cybercillin are a new service that's brought to the small and medium enterprise business market. We concentrate on providing managed security services to small businesses to protect against the growing increase in risk of cybersecurity attack.
Okay, so what sort of cyber attack would a small business be, targeted with at the moment? I know we've been some in the press about the government being attacked. What sort of small businesses would be attacked, and for what?
We read in the press about the big end of town being attacked, but unfortunately the small end of town's not reported. And the statistics show that a large percentage of cybersecurity businesses will be government statistics in Australia support that about a third of small businesses have had an attack in the last 12 months.
Wow.
And unfortunately, if it's a major attack and there's data breach is involved, it can be a business-ending event for most small businesses.
Yeah, and as an we run an accounting and bookkeeping podcast, so I'll edit this bit out.
Yep.
So accountants and bookkeepers are especially susceptible. They hold a lot of client information on their site. So if they have a website and they can be attacked via that way and they can access some back-end information, that's a really important thing, because as an accountant and bookkeeper, we then have to report that to the client and then also report it to our regulatory body as well.
Yes. Well, apart from the regulatory body, there's now a national data breach legislation in place where they have to report it to the government. And a lot of small business underestimate the cost of what that involves if they have an attack. The breach or the attack is one thing, but the remedies can be more than half the cost of the attack. And we're finding at the moment there's a lot of ignorance out there. The fines potentially for directors and officers are $2 million for a corporation and $400,000 for individual directors and officers if they're totally negligent. And we're also making a lot of small businesses aware that they should be reading their insurance policies for cybersecurity a bit closer, because things like the exclusion periods and sublimit covers are very important to cover the risk. The risk is greater than most people understand at the moment.
Yeah, okay. So that's a really, really hefty fine. So what's a price? What's a general some general pricing on what you offer to a small business enterprise or the like?
For a small business enterprise running sort of 5 to 10 employees with a server and as many devices that they want to enrol onto our platform, will cost probably an entry about $400, $400 on a monthly subscription, no lock-in contracts. That includes both the technical aspects. We use industrial strength malware and firewall protections, 24/7 endpoint monitoring. We've got Cybersecurity Operations Centre in Melbourne and one in Macedonia monitoring unusual activity 24/7 a day. We update all the patches and the malware automatically, which is very important if small employers are allowing their own people to bring their own devices to work, because they can't always control what's on there. And we offer a number of other services that cover the administrative and the human side of it, phishing scams, education schemes for employees, online testing, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so a lot of it around that bring your own device and people working on their devices inside the workplace and working on clients, whatever their client is, that's a real risk now, isn't it?
Absolutely. Because if someone's bringing a device into your workplace and you don't know what they're doing or what's on it, it's like locking your door with your technical protections but leaving the windows open for the people to come in. Yeah.
I appreciate your time, Gary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kane. Thank you. Thank you. Great. So who does that get?
I have Paddy and Scott Schaff here with us today, and they've come all the way from Colorado. I'm sure you haven't just come to visit this expo.
No, we've come to Australia, and it turns out that there was an interesting accounting conference that we could attend and speak at.
Now, isn't that the best way to actually see the world? That's what I do. Go to a conference, be a speaker, and you can do a tax deduction. Did I say that?
No, you can. That's why I married an accountant, so I don't have to worry about that stuff.
So what are you guys, where have you been? How long are you here for? What are you doing here at the Expo?
So we started off in New Zealand for 3 months and met a lot of the vendors that we see here already.
So
like
what sort of
Xero
guys? Yeah.
and well, Sin7's not here, but we saw Sin7, A2X. When we came over to Australia, we're going to be here for another month, but we found out that they were having this expo the first few days that we were here, so we decided to pop on over and see what kind of differences there are between Australia and the US.
And you were here yesterday already, so have you uncovered any differences?
A few. So I'd say this is a good conference. The content of the sessions that we've seen is really good, and it does show us that Australia is definitely a little bit ahead of the U.S., which
Absolutely.
we knew.
Yep.
And, that's one of the things we wanted to see. Where are those firms that have been doing it longer than we have? What's the maturity? What are they focused on? Where are they looking towards the future? And we're seeing some of that. And so it's been good. And it's been just excellent conversations with all the vendors that we've talked to. So it's kind of what we would expect, that you guys are going to be smart about it and that you were farther ahead.
Yep.
I do see a lot of similarities. There's a lot of talk about advisory being kind of the future.
It's sort of the capping subject of this conference, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I'm seeing that in the U.S. as well. Just everybody's, they're starting to embrace the technology and the automation to make lives easier, but with that comes other challenges, and advisory is something that everybody needs.
Yeah, exactly. So, Patty, what's your background in the US? I mean, you've been around for a very long time as well. So
Right. So I'm a CPA. Actually, Scott's an IT guy. So we make a pretty good combination in this world,
But Patty started out, she's been doing, after she did work for the Big Five, which you do in the U.S., she went out on her own pretty quickly and has had her own practice, but she was doing kind of outsourced, she had her tax clients and outsourced controller work, managed accounting. And she kept looking at me, so, hey, if this is going to happen, hey, would you want to do this with me? And I said, sure. I was sick of the global multinational I worked for. So she went to Sleater in 2011, or 2010. No, 2010.
So you guys who don't know, this is the Sleater Conference, which was used to be run by Doug Sleater and was taken over by AccountX in 2016.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so she called me after every session in 2010 saying, the cloud's here, we've got to hurry, let's do this.
Absolutely, it was there.
Yeah, I was so worried that we were going to be left behind.
And isn't that 8 years on and we're still up the front, aren't we?
Yeah. And accountants in general, the majority of them don't move very quickly. But this gave us an opportunity to work together. We're one of those husband-wife teams that just thrive working together. Catching Clouds is like our third child. But for the most part, what we've really enjoyed are all the connections, spending time with Clayton and Jerry and all these people that we've connected with, that we both do a little bit of work.
Mel
and
Power,
and
Heather Smith.
All those people. So Australia is going to be your second home then?
That's the plan. That's the plan. And so we're both looking forward to checking out Australia, but also it's been great really learning what's going on in the accounting world here.
And Patty, you're talking later today, or you've already done a talk?
Nope, actually Scott's going to be talking.
Scott's talking. What are you talking about, Scott?
E-commerce accounting. So now that Amazon's here, I'm going to cover a little bit of the unique specifics around Amazon and the specifics around, look, this is what it takes, and a few of our best practices that we've learned over the last 8 years, where everybody thinks you have to automate everything and push everything into Xero and then redo all the work in Xero. I'm going to make it very clear that does not work well.
Yes. One of my favourite lines is, just because it can connect doesn't mean it should.
Amen.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
We all learn the hard way, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, it's absolutely wonderful to have you in Australia, and we hope to see more of you, and go and enjoy yourselves at the oats farm.
Thanks for having us.
And we'll see you in the US, I'm sure, later on in the year.
That sounds great.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's all for today on Bookie The Beano. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And while you're there, leave us a review and share it with your network, especially if they are accountants and bookkeepers. We'll be back soon with another episode. So until then, stay accurate.
Bye.